You might not believe it when I say this, but right before your eyes, this fan, thrown on the street and ignored by everyone, in the eyes of a restoration craftsman, is actually a priceless treasure he has long been searching for. After the craftsman's magical metalworking skills, its value instantly multiplies 100-fold. The finished product can be called a work of art. Only by watching to the end did I realize what it means when they say true masters live among the people. The first step of restoration is disassembly. Watch the master. Use a wrench to loosen each screw one by one, and then carefully remove every component. This is a desktop fan born in the 1940s. Although it's rusty and covered in patina, as long as you plug it in, it still works normally. A clear testament to the craftsmanship and solid materials back then, which were truly top class for their time. As the core component of this fan, it uses a shaded pull motor. Although not very efficient, its simple structure means it rarely breaks down, truly built to last for generations. After removing the motor's casing, all the parts are fully disassembled. Next comes the step of rust removal. The master first places the larger components into the sandblasting machine. The abrasive used is black corundum, scientific name black aluminum oxide, accelerated by high-pressure air. It strikes the surface at high speed, achieving deep rust removal. The entire restoration process is very satisfying to watch. I bet right now you're either spacing out or sitting with your left foot over your right foot. However, after sandblasting, the surface is usually uneven and quite rough. This does not satisfy the master's exacting standards for an artwork. So, he sprays a layer of pink primer on the surface, which fills in the tiny imperfections on the parts and acts as a bonding layer between the paint and the object, providing better adhesion and ensuring a tighter finish. For some deformed components, the master carefully hammers them back into shape, so they become more even and regular. Then he sands away the excess primer. With skills this refined, the master could easily find a great job. Looking for a quick job? Renting or selling a house? Leave it to 58.com. As for the pure brass piece in the fan blade's center, the master uses an electric grinder to polish it. With two machines rotating in opposite directions, the work is twice as effective with half the effort. As the saying goes, restore the old as the old. So for the top coat, the master chose a color labeled 2N11011, a deep glossy shade. This gives the restored piece a stronger vintage feel. After finishing the paint coating, the master uses a red marker to retrace the letters and patterns on the base to create a sharper contrast. The connection between the base and the fan head was lost long ago due to age, so the master decided to custom make a new rod for it. Considering the strength and durability needed, once again, he used a pure brass rod for the job. First, he secured the rod on the lathe and reduced its outer diameter from 16 millimeters to 15 millimeters to perfectly fit the threaded hole on the base. at the screw head's edge. The master even carefully machined a lead-in chamfer to improve the overall finish. After polishing the screw's surface, he used the leftover brass rod to make the matching nut. The difference is, for the nut, the master first drilled a hole through the rod, then tapped internal threads with a tap tool. Next comes the fan's protective grille. During years of use, it inevitably suffered bumps and dents, so the master carefully used tools to straighten them bit by bit. Considering the irregularity of the protective net, he couldn't use a sandblaster for rust removal. First, the master mixes a certain ratio of electrolyte, then immerses the entire protective net into the liquid. After connecting the power, the rust on the surface is decomposed. The advantage is that it preserves the integrity of the item. The drawback is that it takes much longer. It usually needs to run continuously for more than 24 hours. Afterwards, the protective net is rinsed clean of any remaining liquid on its surface. Then a layer of colorful black coating is sprayed on it for better protection. The fan's original aluminum nameplate, after being cleaned, had its markings already blurred and illegible, so the master decided to make a new one. To speed things up, he used a laser engraving method here as well. It must be said, the efficiency of this method is amazing. In the blink of an eye, the characters and patterns on the nameplate appeared perfectly. Next, he just needs to refine its content and its outer appearance. Look at this finish effect, isn't it very good? As for the fan's core motor, since it was made with solid materials, even now the rust isn't too obvious. It's just a bit dirty on the surface, so a simple cleaning is enough. The nails of the motor as special parts that provide the magnetic field cannot come into direct contact with water. They must be cleaned with a pure solvent. At this point, all the components have been restored. Next comes the final assembly. Assembly is simply the reverse of disassembly. There's no special trick to this step. It all relies on the master's decade-long experience and intuition. I'm sure many of you still remember back in your rural homes, there was always one of these Stone brand fans. Back in the days without air conditioning, when handheld fans were still common, if you had one of these cooling artifacts, you could definitely walk proudly through the village. As a fan that could last for 3 generations, its durability wasn't just in its solid materials. More importantly, it used a single-phase motor. This type was often used in small household appliances. Its structure was simple. No complicated starting device was needed. Low cost, reliable performance, and almost no easily worn parts. It had a long service life and was very easy to maintain. However, with the advancement of technology, it has gradually disappeared from the stage of history. with the final screw tightened. At this point, the restoration of this antique fan is nearly complete. Truly, one cannot help but admire the craftsman's brilliant ideas and exquisite skills. So, what do you think? How much would be a fair price for this restored fan? Feel free to leave your comments below. That's all for today's video. Love you all, Mua!